that subsidy was gone, and that was shocking for many Nigerians. That was not the only reform that was introduced by the current administration. We also saw the introduction of new tax laws, recapitalization of the banking industry, among other monetary and fiscal policies. So this morning, we'll be looking at some of these reforms, as well as their pains and their gains. And we have right here in the studio with us, Olusesan Okunade is a policy affairs analyst. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning to listeners across the globe. Glad to be with you. Happy New Month also.
Happy New Month as
Thank
well.
you.
So before we talk about some of those reforms, their gains, their pains, was it true that Nigeria's economy was at a breaking point when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over the mantle of leadership, and that some of his reforms and actions that we have seen were actually taken to salvage the situation then?
Yeah, thank you very much, Jibola. With all sense of sincerity, the major one that we had the announcement during the inauguration of our president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, speaking to subsidy, was something that was a lot of us asked ourselves the question, the sustainability of it, knowing fully well that at a point in time, last administration have actually used our major source of income in borrowing to sustain a lot of things that are going, and subsidy was actually part of it. And we all felt that at that point in time, I was an advocate of saying, let this monster even go behind the scene and let all pay whatever it is that we're going to have. But there were certain things that we put behind the scene for this administration, in as much as we give them the credit of saying subsidy was gone then at that point in time, to say what were the measures that were actually put in place. You know, it was during the coming in of this administration, we had the two refineries were actually announced that they will come up, the Warri Refinery and Port Harcourt Refinery. And we keep having postponement of that the operationality of that refineries until today. We had no clue, because a lot of things we expected would have happened is that would have complemented what Dangote was actually doing, and government could use that to relieve the burden of the people. But be it as it may, a lot of us even accused Mr. President then, because he came in like 2-3 times telling us that the refinery will come up, and it never came up until now. He's still part of the problem. In all fairness, we were at the verge of collapse at that point in time, and something drastic needed to be done, but there were no good landing for the citizen, which the pain of some of those reforms that will actually have happened then. And I think that is why anybody will tell you today that this administration has not performed, because the things that are directly impactful on the citizen are nowhere to actually be commendable. And I'll give you a practical example: cost of living. I'm sure you know it's pretty unbearable on the part of everybody. You don't need to go to the route of rent as we speak in some parts of the country. Don't let me say Lagos, because we stay in Lagos. I've seen this operationalized in several states where the cost of rent has tripled in many fold, and you ask yourself, what has suddenly changed? And the other one I will always speak to is this level of insecurity. I think I was talking to my sister behind the scene to say it's a problem that you won't want to discuss, but you can't stop discussing it, because I just came a few days ago from Shaki, and
You drove?
yeah, I drove to Shaki, and truth of my person, I want to leave as early as possible to not to move during the sun. And I was cautioned that, please, why don't you wait till like 10, 11? And I'm like, in a country where we have leaders and our securities are actually not guaranteed. In all fairness, we had to get security to follow those. And I'm like, the activities I went for to carry out there, that's additional expense. Who bear the cost? The customer. Because your security is not guaranteed and you need to travel that distance. And don't forget, you just heard that in that same state, they just kidnap children. And before I even left Lagos, I heard about a farmer that was not pronounced in a well-to-do farmer in that area that was also kidnapped, and they got ransom before he was released. So when I was leaving, a lot of people were like, is it a must that you must go? But business must continue. So those are part of the things. So you can imagine for my kind of business, I travel a lot. And not too long. Each time I keep saying it, people look as if I'm talking about 25, 30 years ago. No, it's just talking about 10, 12 years ago. I can move from Lagos to Ibadan to Akure, from Akure, connect the south to the north, and it's purely by road. I move from Lagos to Jos, Lagos to Abuja, Lagos to Enugu by road. But I'm sure even if I call you, Giblo, my friend, say, I quickly want to dash to a particular place. You ask me, bros, is it compulsory? Can't you fly? And now flying has become something
else.
That you can do. So these are a few things I feel that the gain on the part of the government, because those two things that Mr. President announced during his inauguration, to me, are gain to the government, but has not translated into gain to the citizen, but created a lot of pain, which we are still struggling and battling with.
All right. Since let's quickly just maybe conclude on the issue of subsidy gone before we move to other issues. Like you rightly said, a lot of people have given kudos to this administration for having the political will to even take that decision. But many people are of the opinion that Mr. President should probably had settled into office, look at the books, look at the country, look at the cushioning effects that could be put in place before taking away subsidy. Perhaps if that had been done, then maybe Nigerians would have been able to deal better with the situation. Do you also share in that opinion, or do you think him coming and saying subsidy gone was the best way to have dealt with that situation? Or if he had done it better, perhaps would the pain still be this much?
Yeah, I think I will share the sentiment of people that said Mr. President should have taken some maybe weeks or months
to study things.
Put your leg into the water to have a feel of what it looks like.
Right.
And I looked at as a calculative error, personally, on the part of Mr. President. Why do I say this? When you are outside the scope of things, it's different from when you are in it. Because there are certain dynamics that you might think with plug and play. It's just like some of the equipment we make use of here. People can look at you and say, what exactly are you doing? Is it not to put this thing here? And when you put it here, you say one or two things and everything start working. And you just get in there. The people that understand the rationale start putting one or two things together, and you start asking yourself, is this thing that difficult?
Right.
And I think that's what actually happened. I share the sentiment that I was expecting that the first 3 months, which is like a quarter, should have been an opportunity for Mr. President to actually study things. But I asked myself the question, if he took that 2-3 months to study and he discovered that it is the same thing, don't forget that even the last administration, Buhari, made the effort to say we'll remove the subsidy.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure on studying the terrain of things that if I remove this thing, how do I manage this? Right. That was what gave Mr. President to say, whether we'll do it or whatever will come out of it, let me first say it and we'll move on.
Right.
That was the boldness that I actually, because I asked myself the question too, it's very much possible that the approach we consider for Mr. President to have had a study of 1 to 3 months of how it looks like, he might end up to say, guys,
I'm not sure I can
with,
do this.
with this that I've seen in these first 2-3 months, if we remove this subsidy, I think, and it will become a difficult thing that will not be able to settle. So I give him the kudos for that. But one thing I keep asking on the part of Mr. President, was that part of the campaign promises was the issue of energy, which petrol happens to be one of it, electricity happens to be one of it. I remember that clips. I keep watching it because I have it saved somewhere to say, Elo Fokonbale, you know, Amagbewale. And today people are asking me the question, when are we going to Gbewale? Because rather, is it that reversed was, the Gbewale was opposite, Besoke, that we did not hear very well. Right. Because appreciating the fact that subsidy was gone was something that we applauded Mr. President for. You looked at it that by now, after 3 years, we should have been looking at gains of reducing, you know, the pains of the people. Right. And part of the thing, a lot of people have asked the question,